Hi, in today's video, I would like to explain what first in first out method or FIFO method in inventory valuation is. So what is FIFO? FIFO just assumes that material received first in the store are the first to be issued. That is, whatever material you are receiving in the first, it will be sold first, and therefore materials in stock are the materials purchased last. So there is a trick in this assumption. I'll share it now. This states that inventory items are issued at the oldest price, not oldest material. It is the oldest price listed in the store's ledger until the first batch is fully utilized. So the trick what is there in this FIFO method is that this doesn't mean that the physical flow is FIFO. It doesn't mean you're selling the oldest material first. It means you are selling the material for the oldest price, not materials, but for the price what you had purchased those materials. So that is FIFO. So if I would like to depict it in a diagrammatic manner, that is, whatever goods are incoming first will be sold first. That is the way we learn FIFO, isn't it? So just in this picture you can see the goods are incoming. So how these goods are delivered first? First, that pink is treated as one material, green is treated as one material, and that yellow box is treated as one material. So the first purchased good or material is the pink material. So what is the first delivery going out in FIFO method? That is pink. Okay, so first material purchase, it will be for a price, and that material is going out of your company first. Secondly, what item you purchased, based on that it will go out of the company. So that is FIFO method, whereas for LIFO method it will be the just opposite of what we learned in FIFO method. Okay, so that is what stated or assumed in FIFO method, that all the materials which are purchased first, that materials will be sold in a way that it will be sold for the oldest price in which you purchased rather than giving it for the newest price. Okay, so now let's see an example of how you will do a sum or do a problem in FIFO. This is a simple problem. That it is given that write out the store's ledger account under FIFO method from the following. So the question goes like this. January 1st, you have an opening balance of 500 unit at rupees 4. Okay, and in January 4th, you issued 200 units. Okay, and January 5 again you are receiving from the vendor 200 units at rupees 4.25. Okay, and later on January 10 you issued 400 units again. Okay, and next transaction is January 12 you are receiving from the vendor 150 unit at rupees 4.10. Okay, and the last transaction which we have in the question is that January 15 you are issuing 100 units. So you are going to prepare a store's ledger account based on FIFO method, that is first in first out method. So let us see how you are going to prepare a store's ledger. Now I have a prepared format, already prepared sum here. I will explain it one by one. So basically this is the format what you're seeing for preparing a store's ledger. So even if you're preparing it for FIFO method or LIFO method, doesn't matter. The format for preparing a store's ledger goes like this. You will have a date column, you will have a particulars column, and then for receipts you will have three different columns, that is quantity, you should state quantity in units. Then you have total cost column, that will be stated in rupees, and then you will have the unit cost column. So receipt column will consist of three columns. Now issues column. So issues column on the whole again will consist of three columns, that is quantity, total cost and unit cost. Okay, and lastly you will have a balance column. It will also consist of three columns, that is quantity, total cost and unit cost. So in total you will have a full-fledged format of stores ledger account in this format. Okay, so let us see all the transactions in a detailed manner. So what was the question given? January 1st you had an opening balance of 500 units at rupees 4. So how are we going to post it in the stores ledger? You see, in date column you are writing January 1 because the date given in the question is January 1, and in particulars column if you are having it as an opening balance you always state it as balanced brought down, or balance brought down should be the particular which you are going to give in the answer. Okay, now it means before you are going to prepare a stores ledger you already have 500 units at rupees 4 in your hand. So it is not a receipt or neither a issue. So what is it? It is a balance. So balance you are having in your hand. So what you are going to do is that 500 units what is given in the question will be written in the quantity column. Okay, 500 units. And so it was sold, or you had 500 unit for rupees 4 it is given in the question, right? So just in the total cost column you will write 4 rupees. So what is the unit cost? How will you get the unit cost? 500 into 4 you will get 2000. So this is the balance which you had bought down. Okay, now let us see the second transaction. Okay, so second transaction is January 4 issued 200 units. You don't know for what price you issued the product. We are doing this sum in which method? FIFO method. So let's see how it is issued. Now it should be written in the issue column, right? So when you're writing the date, just write January 4. Now whenever you're issuing something outside, always you should write requisition slip number. So the particular which you should give should be stated as requisition slip number as you are issuing it outside. So in the receipt column there is nil because you don't have anything, you did not receive anything, you were issuing the material. So how much unit you were issuing? 200 units. No. So let's see, in this issues column you are just writing the quantity what you had issued. What was the quantity? It was 200. You did not have any amount given in the question. Why is it given? Nothing. No. Why no amount is given? Because you have to identify which amount you should give, because according to LIFO it will be different, according to FIFO it will be different. So you had only 4 rupees which is available as a balance. So for that 4 rupees you will issue this 200 units. Okay, because you don't have any other amount which is already available. You're giving the items for 4 rupees itself. So 200 and rupees 4, when you multiply this you will get 800. So it means from this 500 which you had as a balance, from this 500 you gave 200 outside. So what will be the balance? You will have 300 units for rupees 4. So the total or unit cost will be 1200. How did you get 1200? 300 into 4. So is that clear? Now let us see the third transaction. The third transaction says as January 5 you received from the vendor 200 unit at rupees 4.25. So you're receiving something from a person or a vendor. So how are you going to post it in the stores ledger? Let's see. So you are writing the date as January 5, and whenever you are receiving something, the particular which you're going to state is goods received number. So goods received number you have written. So you have to write it in the receipt column because it is not an issue. It is not a balance amount as directly. So you should write it as a receipt amount. Okay. So 200 was the unit. So you write 200. You received the 200 unit for rupees 4.25, isn't it? So when you multiply 200 into 4.25, you will get 850 as a unit cost. Okay, now is there anything to be written as issue? No, there is no transaction stating issue. Okay, so you're writing nil in issue column. Now, how will you write the balance column? Since you have to identify what amount should be given in the next transaction, you cannot combine the units and write it in the balance column. Okay, so you have to show the units separately for different cost. So you already had 300 unit, which is given here, no, which I have stated in a pink shade. This 300 is the amount which you already had. Okay, so now you are just bringing that down and writing it as 300 rupees 4, and you have 1200 as a unit cost in your hand. Now newly you had purchased 200 unit for rupees 4.25, isn't it? So this blue shade will be taken to the balance. So you already had a pink shade of 300. Now you are having a new shade, that is 200 unit for 4.25 rupees. So now total, you are not just writing the total, you are writing it separately. You cannot add these unit costs and write. You have to write it separately. So in the balance column, you will have two columns which will state two balances for two different amounts. Okay, why are we writing so? Because in the next transaction, if you have any issue, you should identify according to FIFO method. So according to the oldest price, you should give these many units. So in order for easy understanding, you should write it this way. Okay. So what is the next transaction? So January 10, it is issuing 400 unit. So let us see. Now you're going to issue 400 unit. No. So what is the transaction particular which you're going to write? It is requisition slip number. So it is not a receipt. So the receipt column will have nil balance. Okay. Now, you're going to issue 400 unit. You cannot directly write 400 because you have two different amounts in the beginning. So before going or before transaction, the previous transaction had different amount and the previous transaction had a different amount. Now you have to identify to which amount you should give the units. Okay, for which amount you should issue the units first, and secondly for which amount you should issue the units. So we know the total units is 400. So firstly you have to take this 300. Why are we taking 300? Because it's first in first out. So you have to issue this 300 units for rupees 4 first. Okay, now you are issuing that 300 unit for rupees 4 first. Now balance again you have to give 100 unit. So then only you will get 400 as a total, isn't it? Now from this 200, because you already issued this, from this 200 you will issue 100 for rupees 4.25. Okay, so just write the total of two columns in the unit cost column. Now what will you write it in the balance column? How much is the balance which is available in your hand? You had 200, now you issued 100, again you will have 100 as balance for rupees 4.25. Is that clear? Okay, now you're having 100 units, 4.25. Now 425 is your unit cost. So with that, the transaction of that is, or January 10 is over. Now what is the next transaction? January 12, you received from vendor. You're receiving goods from the vendor. That is, how much did you receive? 150 unit for rupees 4.10. So how are we going to post it in the stores ledger? Let's see. So the date column, you have written January 12. Now in the particulars column, what should we write? We should write goods received number. We are not issuing, so just write goods received number. So what is the unit you received? You received 150 units. Okay, now what was the amount? It was for 4.10. So for 150 into 4.10, you get 615 as your unit cost. Okay, there is no issues, so just write nil in your issue column. So how will you write or post in the balance column? You already had 100 units, you're just writing that 100 units, the same shade, you understand? Okay, this 100 unit you already had in the hand, so you're writing that in the balance column. Now new 150 unit, this green shade has come, so that green shade is posted here. So on the total you're having 250, but you're showing it differently because you're having different amount. Okay, now you're posting this 100 and this 150 in the balance column. With that, 12th January transaction is also over. Okay, now what is the next transaction given in the question? January 15, it issued 100 units. Now you have to issue 100 units. You have to decide for what amount you're going to issue the unit. Okay, let's see. So, what was the date? January 15. Again, for particulars, since it's an issue, you should write requisition slip number. So, receipt column will be nil balance. Yes, we are not receiving anything. Okay, now for issues column, just see this balance column, which one is coming in the first? 100 for rupees 4.25. So what is the issue units, or how many units you should issue? 100. So you can just simply issue this 100 unit. That's why I've given the same shade here. See, this 100 unit will be taken down as issue. For rupees 4.25, 425 will be issued. Now what is the balance available in your hand? This same 150 is only balance which is available in your hand. Okay, so 150 for rupees 4.10 is the balance which is available at this last, or after all the transaction. This is the amount which is available. So when all the transactions are getting over, this amount is known as your closing stock. So if you are asked to find the closing stock under FIFO method, this balance is your closing stock. If you have two or more balances, you write closing stock is equal to and add all the balances and write the amount here. Since we don't have any other transactions or any other amount to be added back, we are just writing this 615 as your closing stock. So with this is how you do your FIFO method. So LIFO method is the direct opposite of what we are doing it in the FIFO method, that we will see in the next video. Okay, thank you.